Hey there, artists! Today we're going to be drawing some apples and practicing shading to create value with our oil pastels. Value is the lightness or the darkness of a color. When we understand value, it can really help us make our artwork more realistic. It will appear 3D and really pop off the page. So to start, let's use our artist's eyes to observe an apple. Apples are not just plain red. When we look closely, I see yellows and greens here on this apple that I'm looking at. So I'm picking out a range of oil pastels that are not just red, but dark red, light red, some dark greens, some light greens, and also some yellows. If you don't feel very confident in starting with an oil pastel, start with a pencil so that you can erase any mistakes. Remember that artists make mistakes all the time. We are all exercising our drawing muscles, and practice makes better. Now with my oil pastel, I'm going in and I'm seeing where I need to put red, yellow, and green tones. I'll show you how to add the shadows in just a moment. I am leaving a little bit of white for a highlight. Remember that a highlight shows us that something is shiny and reflective. If you get an oil pastel that looks kind of messy, feel free to grab a scrap piece of paper and just kind of rub it clean. That way it's not mixing with your other colors. I am using fairly heavy pressure here, which means I'm pressing down pretty hard on my oil pastel. And don't be afraid to make the colors overlap each other. So you can put green on top of yellow, yellow on top of red, whatever you think you need to blend those colors together to make the right color. Next, I want to show you how to make colors darker to make the shadows on your apple. So I'm taking two complementary colors, red and green, and I'm going to be mixing them together. Complementary colors are opposite of each other on a color wheel. And while they look really good when they're side by side, when you mix them together, they kind of cancel each other out. It creates a neutral dark shadow color that's a lot more interesting than when you would just use plain black. Little trick works with more than just red and green. It works with all the complementary colors. So notice that yellow and purple are across from each other. You can mix them to make a neutral, and also blue and orange are opposite each other. You can mix those together to create a neutral shadow as well. So here I am using my dark red and my dark green. I'm going to be mixing them together on the darkest part of my apple, which is going to be at the bottom because light's hitting the top of my apple, but not the bottom of it. So I'm mixing those together to create dark shadows at the bottom. And I'm also mixing them together and using a really dark navy blue to create what's called the cast shadow. If you look at the table underneath of your apple, you'll notice that the object is creating a shadow all of its own because it's blocking the light. Try to mix together your dark colors, dark red, dark green, and maybe a dark blue to create that cast shadow. Now I'm going to start blending all these colors together, and there's two ways you can do this. The first one I'm showing you here is I'm using a white oil pastel to go back over top all those colors to blend, but I'm also going to give you some baby oil to blend colors together as well. You can use either technique, but I really want you to try both. So with the oil, you need very little. We're going to use a little Q-tip. You just put a little dab of oil on the Q-tip, and you can put that onto your apple to smooth those colors out. You can also use your finger if you want to. I'm using light pressure here, just trying to get those colors a little more smooth so that it looks a little more realistic. I encourage you to practice drawing some apples and blending your pastels a couple different times. You can even use different paper. We have black paper if you want to try it out on that. And remember that we're all here to support each other. We are all practicing artists. So while you're working, lift up a friend and give them a compliment if you see something great that they're doing.